Jeffrey Epstein survivor and advocate for other sexual assault survivors, Jess Michaels, is our guest. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. So they said afterwards, basically, that this guy comes in and denied everything, essentially. And some of what I said there adds to that. Your impression of today and who Les Wexner is and all that you've experienced.
Hi, Connell. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. It is consistently inconsistent what we're seeing from those that are testifying in front of congressional members. It's disappointing that people are not willing to be forthcoming about information that they have, because clearly he wasn't telling the truth based on the emails that have been found. So it's just frustration after frustration with a system that keeps showing that it isn't functioning properly.
One of the members of Congress questioning today was Jasmine Crockett from Texas, of course. Here's part of what she said.
Once they told me he wasn't taking the fifth, I thought that the record would be full of I don't remembers. I will tell you that once this record comes out, you will see that you most likely will be left with more questions than answers. It is almost inconceivable to be missing the amounts of money that are missing, and somehow Mr. Wexner have no idea.
Yeah, no idea. Claims he was a victim of all of this. You have any contact yourself? I know there are other victims who say that they did, and that even allege that they were trafficked to Wexner and that kind of thing. What about your experience, if any?
So my experience was that I was raped by Jeffrey Epstein in 1991. That was the only time that I met him. I did not meet any of the other alleged co-conspirators. I'm one of the earliest publicly known survivors. We do know that there are some from the 80s. Right.
When you see all of this and you think about your own experiences and the experience of others, and it all, 3 million documents come out and this guy testifies today, what does justice look like for you? And do you ever think that you'll feel like it's been achieved?
That's a great question, and I think that's something that all of us are redefining as we go along, because the biggest thing that we want to see from the Justice Department is clarity so we can trust in the system. But historically, starting with 1996, when Maria first put her report into the FBI, through to the sweetheart deal in 2008, to 2019, and then 2021, when Ghislaine Maxwell was the only one arrested, we're really struggling to trust the system. And for me, I would really like to trust the system, that it is actually functioning properly, that it is taking care of victims and putting away criminals.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up about no one else being arrested and whether there was other criminal behavior and whether the files speak to it. Todd Blanche at the Justice Department, this was on the 1st of the month, spoke to that a bit. I just want to play this real quick and then come back and talk more about that subject. Yeah. Listen.
I can't talk about any investigations, but I will say the following, which is that in July, the Department of Justice said that we had reviewed the files, the quote Epstein files, and there was nothing in there that allowed us to prosecute anybody. There's a lot of horrible photographs that appear to be taken by Mr. Epstein or were people around him, but that doesn't allow us necessarily to prosecute somebody.
What would you say about that? Yeah, it looks bad, but there may not be other criminal behavior besides Epstein and or Maxwell.
Well, I don't know that Todd Blanche has actually looked at all of the records, because as we understand it, as congressional members are going in and looking at the files, what they're finding is the ones that are supposed to be unredacted are redacted. In fact, one of the victim statements that I pulled, and this is something I've been pointing out regularly, is look for the victim statements, because that's where you're going to find who did what to whom, when, and how. And the first victim statement that I found, it was 7 pages long, Connell, and 4 out of 7 of them were redacted. And there was even a sentence in there that said that this victim was worried and concerned about the abusive power of wealthy men. And the rest of it was redacted. So I hear what he's saying, and now I don't know if he's actually looked at the files.
Right. Was this your own statement that you're talking about, or another victim statement that you pulled from the files?
No. And this is another reason why I still keep fighting for justice, because this was another victim statement that I had looked at. It took me a year and a half to get the FBI to actually take my statement. And that was after badgering the Southern District of New York to try to get somebody to listen to me, to finally the Special Agent Amanda Young reached out, apologized, said that should never have happened, took my statement, said my statement was going to be used in the prosecution's case against Ghislaine Maxwell because I had information about the recruiter who had been recruiting for 10 years for Jeffrey Epstein. And then I was never entered into the victim notification system. And I never heard from that FBI agent again. And we can't find a 302 for me in the files.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.